Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I would like to show you how to make this super cute baby crib organizer. It's a hanging storage that you can attach to the side of the crib, making it easy to reach all your baby's essentials and keep everything organized. You can make this for your own little one or as a cute gift for a new mom. So now let's jump into the tutorial. For this project you will need cotton fabric, double gauze or linen, a lock with matching thread and wadding. I'm using 2 cm thick wadding, but you can also use 1 cm for a flatter look. First, let's cut all the pattern pieces. Fold your fabric in half with the right size facing inward and the selvages aligned. Don't forget to pre-wash your fabric before cutting. Lay the pattern pieces on your fabric following the cutting layout in the pattern and make sure the gray line arrows match the fabric's edge and mark all the notches. They will make sewing much easier later. At this stage you should have cut all the pattern pieces, which are 10 straps, 1 outside pocket, 1 inside pocket, 1 ruffle panel and 2 main panels. Now let's cut the pieces from the wadding. I recommend cutting the wadding slightly larger than the pattern pieces, leaving extra seam allowance around the edges. This makes it easier to attach to the fabric, and once it's sewn you can trim off the excess. You should cut 2 wadding pieces, one for the main panel and one for the pocket. Now we'll keep the wadding for the main panel and place one piece of the main panel with the right side facing up on the wadding and pin it in place. In the next step we'll sew it together, so it's good to pin it in place before sewing. Now stitch the main panel to the wadding with a 5 mm seam allowance around all 4 edges. Trim off the extra wadding close to the edges of the main panel. In this step, press the edges of the main panel with the attached wadding to flatten the seam allowance. This makes it easier to align and attach the next panels. Now take the inside pocket panel because we need to fold the top edge, which will be visible on the right side of the organizer. According to the pattern, the fold should be marked, which is 4 cm plus 1 cm for the seam allowance, making a total of 5 cm. So start by measuring 5 cm down from the top edge of the inside pocket on the right side and mark several points. Then draw a straight line. In this video I marked the line on the wrong side of the panel, but I recommend marking it on the right side to make folding easier in the next step. Now fold the top edge down along the line you marked earlier, and when folding make sure the wrong sides of the fabric are facing each other, so you end up with a 5 cm folded section. As I mentioned before, I marked the line on the wrong side of the fabric, so here I'm double checking the fold by measuring to ensure it is exactly 5 cm from the top edge. Now let's move on to preparing the ruffle. So take your ruffle panel and fold it in half lengthways with the wrong sides facing each other and press it flat. Let's prepare the gathering on the ruffle. So set your sewing machine to the longest stitch, take your ruffle panel and stitch one row 5 mm from the raw edge. Then stitch a second row 5 mm from the first row and make sure not to backstitch at both ends and leave long tails to help with gathering in the next step. In this step, take the outside pocket and the ruffle panel. Pull the bobbin threads of the gathering stitches on the ruffle to adjust its width so it matches the outside pocket. Make sure to evenly distribute the gathers along the entire length. And remember, the side with the bobbin threads is the wrong side and the side with the needle threads is the right side of the ruffle. Also remember that when creating gathers, it's better to pull by the bobbin threads because those are not secured by the sewing machine's tension, and this technique allows the fabric to gather effectively when pulled. Once you are satisfied with the gathered ruffle, press the gathered edge, and this will help set the gathers in place and make it easier to sew the ruffle onto the panel in the next step. Again, take the outside pocket and place it with the right side facing up. Now lay the gather edge of the ruffle panel with the wrong side down where the bobbin threads are, along the top edge of the pocket. Start by pinning the ruffle edges in place, then again adjust the gathering as needed to align with the top edge of the pocket evenly. Also, I recommend to slightly reduce the gathering by about 1.5 cm on the side edges to make sewing easier in the next steps because this is the seam allowance. In this step, sew the ruffle panel to the top edge of the outside pocket using a 5 mm seam allowance. Start by sewing the side edges, then sew along the top edge, finishing at the second side edge. Lay the outside pocket with already attached ruffle right side up. Take the inside pocket and place it on top with right sides facing each other and pin the 3 layers together. Stitch along the top edge using a 1 cm seam allowance through all 3 layers, outside pocket, ruffle panel and inside pocket. On the right side of the outside pocket, press the seam allowance toward the top edge of the inside pocket, then repress the folded edge. Now remove the gathering stitches on the right side. It's enough to remove only the row visible on the right side, and to do this my quickest method is to trim the thread at both ends on the front and inside of the garment. Then gently pull the thread from the wrong side of the fabric and remove it from the right side. Be careful not to damage the fabric while removing the threads. Take the wadding for the pocket that we cut at the beginning of the video and trim off any excess, ensuring it is even along all edges of the pocket pattern. You will notice that there is no seam allowance added to the top edge of the pocket pattern for the wadding. This is intentional as it's designed to fit properly with the pocket in the next step. Now take the fabric pocket and open it with the wrong side facing up. Next, take the pocket wadding and place it on the wrong side of the inside pocket and make sure the wadding is positioned below the folded top edge with the bottom edges aligned. This ensures that when we fold the pocket in the next step, the wadding will stay in place, and it's really important that the pocket wadding is cut precisely for a nice fit. Refold the outside pocket to the right side, ensuring the wadding is sandwiched between the wrong sides of the inside and outside pocket. You should have now 3 layers: the inside pocket, wadding and outside pocket with the ruffle. Pin all around, making sure the wadding hasn't shifted at the top edge. Stitch the inside and outside pocket layers to the wadding using a 5mm seam allowance along the side seams and bottom edge. It's best to start at one side seam, then sew along the bottom edge and finish with the second side seam. Press the seam allowance to flatten the seams. Now lay the main panel with the attached wadding right side facing up and ensure that the stripe placement are marked on top. Place the finished pocket with the ruffle side up on top and make sure the inside pocket is facing the right side of the main panel. Align the bottom and side edges, then pin them in place. Stitch the pocket to the main panel along the sides and bottom edges using a 5mm seam allowance. Press the edges to flatten the seam allowance. In this step, we'll create the 3 pockets. Start by measuring the width of the organizer and dividing it into 3 equal sections. According to the pattern, the total width should be 62 cm with 60 cm for the pockets and 2 cm for the seam allowance. At the top of the pocket, mark the pocket sections. Begin by marking a 1 cm seam allowance. Now mark 20 cm for the first pocket, 20 cm for the second pocket, and 20 cm for the third pocket. After the third pocket, mark another 1 cm seam allowance. Now you have marked the 3 pockets. Repeat the same process for the bottom of the pocket and draw a straight line connecting the top and bottom marks. Pin the layers near the marked lines to secure them in place, as this will make sewing easier in the next step. Sew along each marked line with a strong stitch from the bottom to the top of the organizer. Make sure to backstitch at both ends for added reinforcement, as these seams will experience frequent use. After this step, you can remove your marker or chalk if needed. Now let's move on to preparing the straps. Fold each strap lengthways with the right sides facing each other and press. Then repeat this step for all straps. Now stitch the strap along a row long edge and one short edge, leaving one short end open. Use a 1 cm seam allowance. Then repeat this step for all straps. At this stage you should have sewn all straps, and now trim the seam allowance by 5 mm on the sewn short edge and trim the corners, and then repeat the steps for all straps. Use a turning tool to flip the strap right side out, pushing out the sewn short edge. You can use a pin to carefully push out the corners after, and of course repeat the step for all straps. Now press the strap flat, making sure the seam is centered on one side. The side with the visible seam will be the wrong side and the opposite side will be the right side. Repeat this for all straps. Let's move to pairing the straps into 5 sets. So take the wrong side of one strap and place it against the wrong side of the second strap, so that the visible seams are facing each other. This forms one set. Now repeat this process for the remaining straps to create the other sets. Make sure you have marked 5 strap placements on the organizer according to the pattern. As I'm showing here, the strap placement should be about 1.2 cm from the edge, leaving 1 cm for the seam allowance and a small space. Place each strap pair on the main panel with the wadding, ensuring the right sides are facing each other, and pin them in place. Stitch ear strap pair to the main panel using a 5 mm seam allowance. Layer main panel with the attached straps right side up. Make sure the straps are in the proper direction, as in the next step we'll place the second main panel on top. Also ensure the straps are positioned correctly so that you don't sew over them in the following steps. Now place the second main panel without wadding on top of the organizer with the right sides facing each other. Pin around the edges, leaving a 40 cm opening at the bottom of the organizer for turning later. Sew the layers together with a 1 cm seam allowance, leaving an opening. Start at one end of the gap and sew around to the other end. Make sure to backstitch at both ends for reinforcement. Trim the 4 corners of the organizer without cutting the stitching line. Now turn the organizer right side out through the opening. Now you can push out the corners. Press the entire organizer to flatten the seam, then fold the raw edges of the gap inward by 1 cm and press. To close the gap, you can use a machine stitch near the edge or just hand stitch with a ladder stitch. For my project, I use a ladder stitch, which is a type of hand sewing where you make small stitches that are hidden on the front so the seams looks neat and invisible. You start by pulling the needle with the thread through one edge, then across to the other edge, making small stitches on the inside of the fabric. Then repeat this and pull the thread tight as you go to keep the seam neat and invisible on the front side. After that, you can press the organizer for the final finish. So here's the final baby crib organizer. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and if you did, please like and subscribe, it really supports my small business. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Also, let me know what kind of baby related tutorial you would like to see next. Happy sewing!